This is Avatar. As the highest grossing movie of all time, it has some of the most beautiful views you'll ever see, and I'm gonna make them in Minecraft. So last month, I, along with 40 million people, saw the trailer for Avatar 2, and seemingly out of nowhere, they gave us this scene. It is beautiful. I thought, come on, what if someone made this in Minecraft? So, hi, that's me. I did it. I made it in Minecraft. But I didn't want to just make any one single scene. I wanted all of Pandora. The only problem is Avatar 2 comes out in a month and a half, so I don't have long to make this. Avatar 2 took over 3 years to film. I might be in trouble. Decided the only way to even attempt building Avatar in Minecraft would be to build this and 2 of the most iconic places from the original Avatar movie. Those are coming later in the video. Little did I know just how big of a task this would actually be. Now, for this scene, this single image was not enough to capture the entire magnitude of this landscape, so naturally, I did a bit of research. Sorry, side note, did you know Avatar has a website? Was this common knowledge? I had no idea. This is so cool though. Anyway, using these pictures as a guide, I sketched out a build. It consists of 3 parts: the ground and sea, the inverted archway, and the floating rocks. Now it's time to build. I started working on the ground, and I didn't know it at the time, but this project would quickly become the single biggest thing I've ever done in Minecraft. After smoothing everything out, I got to work on the sea. I found this technique to simulate calm seas by scattering blocks randomly over a layer of blue and then removing large chunks of them at once. It gives this strange but really interesting and cool watery effect. Now it's time for the centerpiece. I converted the sand to stone and I dropped a giant sphere on the ground. I cut pieces out from it to get a similar shape to what's in the trailer, and I made the rest of it thicker, smoothed it out, and I built up the ground. At this point, I felt happy converting it to stone. I wasn't done though. The original image has these archways within archways, and right now all I have is one pretty thick archway. So I added those in, and now this build is looking way more complete. I cleaned up the landscape, added in some trees, and I built 3 different floating rocks, and this is our creation. I love it. It's a little different to the original image, but let me know if you think it's close enough. That build took me over 2 weeks to make. I now have less than a month to make the rest of Pandora. This seems impossible. So, this is the Hallelujah Mountains. This is one of the most iconic places in the entire movie, and it's where the final battle for Pandora took place. This is the next step for building Avatar in Minecraft. I myself had to rewatch the original movie to truly appreciate this place again, but once I had, there was no going back. I knew I had to make it in Minecraft, so I started my sketch. I wanted a bit of a landscape filled with fog, and then a ton of floating islands everywhere. To truly capture the grandness and scale of these mountains, we would have to create something here that I have never done before. So I built up the landscape. I added in a massive amount of fog because, well, just look at this. Then I quickly got started on the islands. I built up 5 different types of islands for this place, 2 giant ones, 1 tall, and 2 small ones. I decorated them with several custom trees, and then I scattered them all over the build, including outside the border to add that sense of scale. These mountains in the movie are so insane that I have to put these floating islands all the way up to world height to even slightly capture the effect. So after a few more decorations, this build is finished. Yeah, no. Earlier, I said this is the place of the final battle for Pandora, and I think it's only fitting if we remake that battle in this build as well. But I have to move fast. The release date for Avatar 2 is quickly approaching and I am running out of time. I still have a whole other build I need to complete, so let's get into it. One of my favorite moments in the battle is when all of the Banshees fly in together at the moment when all hope seems lost. I want that feeling replicated in this build. So I built up a bunch of Banshees, built up that cloud of them flying in, and it is perfect. Now all that's left to do are the ships that they're flying in to fight. These need to look deadly, so I built them up and I put them in their formation. I even made them shoot at the Banshees. Now this build is complete and it is amazing. Alright, it's time. This is what you've been waiting for. This is possibly the single most iconic place in all of Avatar, the Tree of Souls. It is absolutely stunning. It's the heart of Pandora, and it's the reason the Battle of Hallelujah Mountains even happened. But time has been escaping me. Avatar 2 comes out in less than 2 weeks, and I still have this whole video to edit. This is going to be insane. If you're liking this video, hit subscribe. Alright, let's get on with the build. Okay, so this build is going to world height. For that, we need walls going over 250 blocks tall. Then there's a tree. There's not that many big branches to the tree itself, which is really good for me, but every smaller branch and twig has glowing vines hanging off of it, going almost all the way to the ground. And then there's the roots of the tree. They're not that difficult, but they too need to glow. So let's get to it. I built up the walls and added in some detail. I'm using sand so that any air gaps that get created during the building process automatically get removed. Next, I built up the trunk and the branches of the tree, and I brought out the roots so they snaked and stretched over the walls. Remember, these walls are over 250 blocks tall. Now that I have the tree and the roots built, I can convert this landscape away from this dead desert that we currently have and instead make it into a forest, just like the place in the movie. Before I said these roots need to be glowing. If you look at this scene, you can clearly see they're glowing a bluey cyan color. So to replicate that, these roots need to change. I gave them all a makeover with this blue and cyan palette. Now it looks like something's happening. Now the glowing vines from the Tree of Souls have this distinct pink color, which I think can be replicated with this pink, magenta, and white concrete palette. So I scattered this concrete under every single branch of this tree, and then layer by layer I brought the vines almost all the way to the ground. That's not right. This does not look as magical as the movie shows it. After looking at this for a little bit, I realized the reason why this looks so wrong is because you can't see through it. If you look at the movie, you can clearly see behind the tree, whereas with ours, the concrete blocks your view and you can never see past it. But I eventually decided to change all of that concrete to stained glass, and this completely fixed the problem. So now all that's left to do is make it glow. To do that, apparently light is an actual block you can place in Minecraft. I didn't know this going into the build, and I don't even know how I found out, but it is the single thing that's going to bring this entire build to life. I added this light all over these roots and all through the trees, and with that, the build is complete. So after hundreds of hours of work, welcome to Avatar in Minecraft. Subscribe!